the science behind the silence. So we know that there is a world of research that's found with just because you don't say something about it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. And what we know about trauma, whether it's trauma that we choose to acknowledge or not, what we know about trauma is that it actually can lead to health issues. So for my folks who sometimes, like as a therapist, I'll sometimes have people that will tell me, oh, this mental health, like I don't believe it. So then I find myself having to talk to the same people and be like, well, let me ask you this. If I invite you to close your eyes and think about the last time you were stressed out, I want you to notice what happens in your body. Like when you think about that thing that stresses you out, I want you to notice what happens in your body. And I'm going to do this with you guys. I can't see you. I don't have all of y'all's faces on screen with me right now. So I'm still going to ask that you do this exercise with me. So just for a quick second, I want everybody that's listening to the sound of my voice, whether you can see me or not, to close your eyes. Don't worry, nothing's going to happen, but close your eyes. And as you have your eyes closed, I want you to think about the last time you were stressed out. As in, like, nobody can tell you anything that's going to solve this problem. It was banging on your head, right? The last time you were stressed out. And as you have your eyes closed and you're thinking about this, I want to invite you to notice what's happening in your body right now. As this memory or whatever it may be is coming up for you, notice what you're feeling in your body. Notice where it's sitting. Is it sitting in a specific place? Does it feel a specific type of way? Is it uncomfortable? And as you guys have noticed that, feel free to come back. You can open your eyes now. And even though I can't hear you guys and I can't see your faces, if you did have your eyes closed and something came up for you, if you notice that in your body, this is the proof that not only does your brain register what happens in certain scenarios, but your body does as well. So what I want you guys to take away from that exercise is understanding how trauma, whether we see it and it's loud and in our face, or it's something subtle, like something small that just bothered us and it's sitting in a negative way in our system. It's sitting, making us uncomfortable. Our body's registering some type of response to that. And if we continue to experience that over and over again, then we end up with high blood pressure. We could have a heart attack. We end up overly stressed out. We can't function. We're irritable. All of these things are a result, a remnant of this traumatic thing that we've experienced and the repeat experiences of that. So hopefully everybody's okay and we didn't charge up too much. On the other side of that is that when an entire community experiences these kind of traumas and just these kind of experiences in general, poverty, war, violence, racism, things like that, it actually can cause bigger issues for the person, right? So it leads to us saying, well, this happens so often that it's normal. Because it's normal, we feel like it doesn't matter anymore. We feel like we don't need to do anything about it. And that's not accurate. We shouldn't normalize the fact that trauma happened and it's not good. It doesn't feel good. It leaves a bad taste in our mouth, whatever it may be. But because of what's happening in our community and the fact that it happens so frequently, it's kind of like, well, what are you going to do, right? You wake up, you go back to work, you do whatever comes next. A perfect example is like when the kidnappings were at an all-time high. Again, I just want you guys to understand, coming from the States, when we hear about that stuff online and all that, it's like, kidnapping, what will you do? But realistically, for many of you back home in Nigeria, you've heard about it so much that you're like, just don't go that road. Don't go that road. Just stay where you are. Go this side. Like you're used to it. It's normal for you now that you just know how to move and position yourself so that you will not be in that kind of sticky situation. But it's still trauma. Just because we've adapted better to it doesn't remove the fact that in our system, in our brain, in our body, it's being registered that this is a traumatic experience. So cultural normalization is just looking at how, as a society, as a group, as a culture, we have said that we're used to this, so it's like we're okay with it, versus us being like, you know what, this thing is not okay. It needs to change. We need to heal from it. We have to do something different. And then all of these things, at the end of the day, why do we say it matters? Well, it matters because if you never name something that is, that's been spoken, or if you never speak something, you don't give it the name, you don't actually know what you're battling against. I won't use that reference, but it's kind of like, for most Nigerians, regardless of tribe, our names have a meaning. Our names have some type of additional history, some type of additional story. It has something behind it. So when we think about the fact that our name carries weight, it's important for us to also name these things that we're experiencing, these things that are impacting us, because as a people, we're not going to fare well if we can't name the devil that we're fighting. You know what I'm saying? So this is just something for us to take into consideration. Like, breaking through that silence allows us to get to that place of healing. And then following in that same like rule of thumb, we talk about language. Language similar to how we need to name whatever it is that we are speaking about, whatever it is that we're battling and fighting. We also have to consider the importance of language in what we do and how we do it. Words in the trauma and mental health conversation, they matter. If you're saying like anytime I it could be changing now, but for a long period of time before the big mental health push, started coming out, when people would talk about somebody that had mental health issues in Nigeria, you just heard them say the person is mad. The person is not well. Like, we use that term mad to quantify who this individual was. We didn't call this person by their name. We didn't call them by all the characteristics and the personality that they had. Like, maybe something about them was phenomenal before they had this mental health crisis, right? But now the rest of the world just sees them as a mad person. This person is mad, though. Don't touch them. Just leave them. You don't want to go and collect it. Leave them. But in reality, this was a person's child. This could be a person's parent. This could be a sibling, a brother, a sister. Before this person had this crisis, they were an individual, a human that has value. In the eyes of God, or whatever you believe, they are somebody that matters. So when we think about the way that we label things, right? The way that we label things in the mental health space, calling it what it is, and culturally looking at how we talk about it can also shift whether people become more open to the idea of healing or whether they become more resistant to it. So again, why does this all matter? These expressions validate suffering in ways that feel familiar, right? So if we continue to use terminology that is damaging to our people, like especially under the mental health umbrella, if we're calling people mad, if we're saying, this person they are carrying heavy load, like they just need to, go and drop that somewhere. If we speak negatively, or we reduce the importance of the need to heal, the need to express, it makes it difficult for our society to get better, to get healthier, to stay healthier. Without access to mental health terminology, and that's like using the right terms, using the right words, calling it what it is, people may feel like they don't have value. They feel like somebody has thrown this label on them, and the label is not correct. The label is what someone else feels like you should be called, but it's damaging. It's damaging to that person's identity of who they are. It's damaging to what that person understands about what's happening to them. If I'm feeling really sad because my boyfriend dumped me, that doesn't make me mad. That doesn't make me a mad person now because I'm depressed. I'm just sad. I need to have a minute to work through whatever is happening. If I am stressed out because work is just, the people will not behave, nothing is working, everything is sitting on my head, and I become really anxious, I have anxiety. It's not that I'm a mad person. It's not that something's wrong with me. I'm just really anxious because everything that I have tried has not worked. Or I'm carrying around all this extra stress I have not been able to release. So now it's like my pressures, everything is just up. So we want to be able to help people name these things so that the identity that they have is no longer attached to what people are calling them, but instead attached to what it is they're going through and how they can heal through that thing. Language is the bridge between suffering in silence and seeking support.